message. I'll get back to you.
The anti-hero is the really good character. You know, somebody who's likable and yet, you know, strong and not always perfect, not always right.
Didn't you notice I was wearing glasses?
I think people like to see that fallibility.
Who you working for?
Well, that's confidential. Larry Kirkhoff.
He knew the problems. You can get hurt doing this stuff, you know, and he made light of it.
Come on, I do that every time. Come on.
The studio, they wanted to get rid of a lot of the humor. And that's where we balked. You know, I said, if you're going to do that, just get somebody else, you know, because that's not what I do. And they finally listened, and we went on our merry way. You know, he's tricky. He was very tricky, but he wasn't bad. And, you know, I'm kind of the same way. I'm a little tricky. You got to watch me.
I like to get the business out of the way up front. I don't want to shock you, Miss Butler, but it costs $200 a day plus expenses.
$200?
Plus expenses.
It wasn't a lot of money. Even then, it wasn't a lot of money, but, you know, for people who generally wanted Rockford, they wanted somebody who wasn't going to charge very much.
What's wrong, Jimmy? Just figure out you're overdrawn at the bank?
Well, you don't have to get smart.
Well, he wasn't in it for the money because there wasn't that much money. But it was something he could do and do well, and, you know, he'd do it even though he had trepidation in many of the cases.
I just stopped working for him. I never really liked him very much.
I remember in the first year, I'd done a few shows, 5, 6, 7, and I said, guys, can you write something for somebody else? Get some scenes with the bad guys or something? I said, I'm in every shot. And Steve said, Jim, just give us 8 shows where you're prominent, and then we'll back off. 2, 3, 4 years later, I said, guys, can you write something for somebody else? It seemed that what they did, they took Rockford, and the camera went pretty much wherever he went.
I have been shot at, hit over the head, robbed of $10,000. Incredible as it may seem, all by myself, I figured out I was in a little trouble.
To do an hour action drama is just the most difficult thing you can do. It's hard on you. You show me an actor, a leading man who has done the action drama series for more than 4 years, he doesn't have a leg to stand on. His legs are gone, back gone, and generally our brains go. I managed to just barely hang on to that.
I get kidnapped by 2 guys, and they beat the poo out of me.
People would say, do you remember the show we did about so-and-so? And I said, no. I said, remember where we did this car stunt? Oh, yeah. I remembered the car stunts, don't remember the show at all. So that was my fun, driving the cars. I was always behind the wheel. And as a matter of fact, I had to teach my stuntman how to do half the stunts, the reverse 180 and all that stuff. That was my addition to the series. But I drove race cars a little bit, and so I picked that Pontiac Firebird because it could handle, you could just do anything with that car. We weren't allowed to do a lot of gunfire and that sort of thing. Networks wouldn't allow it and whatever. That's like cleavage. We couldn't show any cleavage. You know, we were really restricted. I guess it was because of the hour we were on or something. But so our car action was our action. That and a few fist fights here and there, but not many gunfights.
I'm going to do you a favor, Mr. Dancer. You got a goon working for you named Muzzy Vanette?
This is the age of public relations. Mr. Vanette is not called a goon. He's called a labor organizer.
You can call him whatever you want.
Let me tell you, the secret to all of it, and I'll say it probably more than once in this, is writing. And you read it and you say, yeah, I understand that.
Could I have my pants, please?
He had good friends. He had his dad, Noah Berry.
Look, what are you giving me all this heavy work? Why don't you get yourself a secretary?
And he had Joe Santos in the police department, who was an old friend.
You know, you're not exactly Princess Margaret in this department. Every time you come in here with a bloody nose, morale goes up 10 points. And if I weren't a buddy of yours, I wouldn't even type this up.
I just loved Joe. Such a good guy. Yeah, but that's what makes up the nucleus of a series. You can't, one guy can't do it. You got to have all those people together.
How about you? Did you do that thing?
No, I was bad rap.
Sure.
NBC didn't want Stuart Margolin in it, and I just loved Stuart, and I loved that character. Anyway, we snuck him in there, and everybody loved it. And then a couple of shows later, we put him in again, and then put him in again, till finally he got a nomination for an Emmy. And they said, "Do you think we can get him next year?" I said, "I don't know. He's awfully busy. You'll have to talk to him." And then I told him that, and he made a pretty good deal.
One time, I couldn't find him for 3 weeks, and I was so afraid that he was dead and that they buried him, and I'd never know where.
Lindsay, you know, she was just a great girl, and we got along great, and she's a good actress, and she's beautiful. I just really liked her. I wish we could have kept her on more and more, but...
I made my offer, Mr. Rockford. I'm not going to bicker about it. $20,000 buys a lot of groceries.
Oh, I just love Jimmy. We did a thing, and this is one of the few that I remember, called the Kirchhoff case. And I didn't know Jimmy from Adam. And I watched this kid, and I said, boy, he's good. He's a good actor. He's strong.
Stop flexing your muscles.
What do you want?
Dinner tonight.
I have a date with Calvin.
Break it.
Why?
Because I want to find out how much you know about the Kirchhoff killings.
Well, I'll just tell you, and we can spare the dinner date.
You know, I can sometimes tell better than their ratings can tell about how a show is going by just talking to people and see the recognition on people. And they say, oh, I love the show and stuff like that, and how many of them do it and who's doing it. And so I never worried. I never worried about them picking it up or not picking it up or any of that. I never looked at ratings, didn't care. You know, I knew if we were doing good stuff, people were going to watch it. It's like I can go to my club, and when those guys at the club are watching stuff, I know pretty good because they're a bit picky.
I have been sitting here answering questions in my shorts for a reasonable length of time. Now I want my pants and I want to get out of here, all right?
I had a lot of good memories, but, you know, I'm kind of funny. I enjoy going to work every day and working with my fellow actors and the crew and everything, and I don't take it home with me. I go home and I forget about it, but I can't wait to get back to work the next day with everybody, because it's the doing of it. You know, it's kind of like, you know, it's not the end of the journey, it's the journey itself that's worthwhile.